Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's CNCF TAG Environmental Sustainability Meeting. Today is Wednesday, the 17th of July. One note, this is a CNCF community meeting, so just be mindful of what you say. If everybody could add themselves to attendees list, it would be great. And if we have somebody to take notes during this meeting, that would also be awesome. I think I'm saying this probably every second meeting, but eventually we need to maybe discuss having a note taker before the meeting. So eventually we'll get there, but it's fine. All right. So are there any new attendees who would like to introduce themselves? I don't think so. Or maybe,
Well,
yes.
I think this is my second time. Vincent also I've invited. So I come from the working group for artificial intelligence. You might have, I think Marlo is in the call, so I've met with
Uh,
Marlo.
yeah, can you be a
Hey,
little more precise? You're in the working group for artificial intelligence under runtimes.
under run times.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. That
Yeah.
clarity is necessary for part of this discussion.
Okay. Yeah. So under run times, there is a working group called AI, and I'm one of the AI working group leads. And I came to this meeting with the intention to give an overview of something that, or proposal, but I'll let Vincent introduce maybe himself as well.
Yes, hi everyone. I've come a couple of sessions in the past, but Vincent, I also work for Red Hat, and I've been working specifically on a topic of environmental sustainability for artificial intelligence. So I've been in touch with Adele to look at how we could potentially work with the CNCF to provide a reference architecture for sustainable AI. And under his guidance, I'm kind of finding my way within the CNCF to all the groups we should actually advocate through and present this proposal and hopefully get some support to build this reference architecture.
Awesome. Good to have you. And I also see you added one discussion item at the end here about AI. Sounds good. All right, we will get to this. Are there any other folks who would like to introduce yourself? Or I think most others are familiar faces. So let's go to the recurring topics, to the working group updates, starting with working group comms.
Yes. Hi. So we had our meeting last week. There was a lot of different discussions. We're still reviewing the roles. That's gotten a lot closer now. I think we also discussed KubeCon and booth slides. I'm going to grab those out for when we have the booth. There was some discussion about the various different projects and social media requests that we have going on. That's been pretty interesting. And then we had some discussion about the Sustainability Week and how we can help out with that, getting people involved, reaching out to different people. I think it's a really exciting project. So it's great for comms to be able to help out there. One recurring thing is that the comms group are going to try and help out with the YouTube videos. Although we have some automation to get those into YouTube, it does require some last minute, changing names, uploading thumbnail, making sure that they're released. So we're going to do that. Otherwise, we do have another meeting next week, but I'm on vacation. So unless somebody else can help run that, I will have to cancel next week's one. So that's the only open point from the comms group.
All right, sounds good to me.
Are there currently 2 chairs or just you, Claire?
Just me. That is something that we're actively looking for.
Okay, that is, we'll have to keep reaching out. Anyone here, if you want to go help, that would be wonderful. Because having just one person on comms, especially when we go near KubeCon, is a real headache. I'll help you, Claire, if we don't have someone else, but I would really like someone else to help you chair.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, but the meeting time does not work for me, so I can work with you if we need to move it. Okay, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Are there any questions, more questions for working group comms? All right. We don't have, do we have like somebody from working group green reviews? I don't think so. So we'll ask Nikki and Antonio to give an update afterwards over chat, over Slack. But since we have quite a few topics today, let's move on, I would say, to the projects. So starting with the first one, best practices for Kubernetes. So this project is, and I believe we talked about this also last time, we are kind of trying to figure out like where to go from here. So there's some work being done. We have a bunch of issues open, but the leads are currently on vacation or not available. So sort of like the progress is, like the project is kind of freezed right now. So we might need to have some fresh ideas how to get like this project, like the objectives of the project maybe aligned a bit better. And then also having like milestones that we can reach in the near future. So we have like some kind of output and we are not, I don't know, brainstorming for half a year. And at the end, we are kind of a bit like did some things, but we have not reached like any goal and have not given like any advice or so, which would be very great. So maybe we need to assess this after everybody had like their vacation breaks, kind of. We will see. Any thoughts on this? Anybody?
I think that's reasonable, Leo.
All right, sounds good. Green scraper, Christina. Christina, are you still with us? Problems with the mic. I see you're muted in Zoom, at least.
Go.
Now
Yeah, I know.
I hear something.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. A little bit syncing with the Bluetooth headphones are always fun. Quick, short and sweet status. We have an ongoing progress in the project. So we are currently working on finalizing the green scraper workflow for automatic sustainability event list generation as a reusable workflow and connecting that to the tag env. We will currently, the last thing remaining to kind of fully test it out is to get the necessary access token to be able to create PRs with new events in the tag env repo. So I will need to check. I think something similar was done in the green reviews working group with regards to access tokens. So that is the last thing remaining before we can fully test it out. And we are working on improving kind of the way, what kind of data we are scraping with the tool. So yeah, that's basically the ongoing work. We are both, me and Al Hussein, who are the project leads, are going on vacation from next week. So the next meeting will be sometime in August. But if there is anyone who's interested in automation scripting, then you're welcome to join us. I linked the project board in the meeting notes where you can check out the currently active tasks and see if something could be of interest for you.
Sounds
Yes,
good.
that's it.
So you need a like a token for the tag environmental sustainability repository, right?
Yes.
Maybe we could also create this ourselves because we have admin privileges. But otherwise we can
Then
reach
maybe
out.
I may need your help because it didn't look like I had the privileges to do that.
Okay. Sounds good.
So,
Is there one like issue specifically where we need help with, or is it kind of flowing?
Currently, those that are not inactive are that are in not started are kind of open to take a look and pick those up. Yeah,
Sounds good.
these three, that there should be some detailed description in them as well. And it's if you struggle with information here, so it's just basically to tag myself and Al Hussein, and we'll help out if you'd like to look at it in the meantime till the next meeting.
Awesome. All right. Any questions for Green Scraper? No. All right. Then moving on to Cloud Native Sustainability Week. Nancy, would you like to give a brief update?
Yeah, thank you, Leo. So we have a lot of progress with Cloud Native Sustainability Week. We made a progress with onboarding doc, thanks to Michelle for taking a lead here. It's really nice. So we need to update the website. If you already have a PR in progress, Michelle, let me know. If you need help, I can also raise the PR. Yeah, so other than this, we have also compiled a list of communities which did not participate last year. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to reach out to all the communities which participated this year. This is something I'll do. And I'll ask them if they would like to participate this year. But it would be really nice if we can together reach out to these communities. I mean, some of us can take some, some columns, and some of us. So I'll just create a few columns here so that we can keep a track of if the communication is already happening, we'll know. So I'll make changes to the sheet. So it would be nice if all of you can help us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this looks very good. Do we already have like one, like sort of like a template or some message that we send to these organizers? Or
Yeah, we do not have that. Maybe I can look into that. I can create something, because now we have organizer guide. We have a lot of things for onboarding, so it should be easier.
yeah. And also I think remembering from last year, so there was like some kind of limit for Credly badges. So depending how many meetups we have this year, we might need to reach out beforehand to Audra or Katie. Is there like some limit? Because we don't want to say we are giving everybody badges and at the end there's like some kind of limit or whatever, and then we need to roll back and have like misaligned expectations or whatever.
Yeah. Cool.
But just
I'll keep in sync with Audra. Thanks for letting me know, Leo. Yeah.
all right. Sounds great. Okay, so what are the upcoming things? So we're reaching out to communities, and then are there like any other blockers, or then we are
Yeah, I don't think so. We have any other blockers. First point would be to update the website with at least the TLDR thing from the onboarding doc. And then I'll create a message. I'll share it in the group itself, and then we can together reach out to the communities. So we can start working on it. Also, one update that I won't be available next week for the meeting. So Michelle, I'm sorry, not Michelle, Julie would be leading it. Yeah.
sounds good. Yeah. So last year we also had this virtual meetup, this mini conference. Have we started planning anything around this? Are we still planning to have this kind of?
We haven't started yet. I think it would be nice to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I can create an issue today for the virtual meetup so that we can at least track it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah. All right. Are there any questions for Cloud Native Sustainability Week? Is there anybody who would like to organize an event already? maybe. Jochen, maybe we need to organize an event again in Hamburg. I have not started any discussions.
Yeah. That would be lovely. I actually have started discussions with the university.
Which
So
one?
yeah, University of Hamburg.
That would be great. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, let's discuss afterwards, or on Slack.
Yeah. Okay, then moving to the next item, the APAC meeting last week. So we don't have Siam in the meeting. Is there anybody in the meeting who joined last time? Because I was not around last time. I was just checking the notes.
Yeah, so I was there. I guess we discussed because there were like few new people in the APAC meeting. So we discussed about existing projects, and Sayam gave a overview of all the existing projects and how can we contribute. And also I guess there were few feedbacks. I didn't remember. I think that should be in the notes itself. Yeah, I guess it was the feedback regarding the cloud native sustainability map, which we made last year. And there was some, I think we already discussed it over the Slack. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was like some parts of a country not marked.
Yes.
Yes.
So we need to be, we need to be cautious of it. Yeah. But I guess like the software which you mentioned or someone else looks pretty cool. So maybe we should use that this time.
It's better than like a black and white map, and then you use paint or whatever, and then just mark it, and then you forget like some island. So yeah.
Yep.
That's very good feedback. All right, sounds good. Yeah, there was also, as I see, like a discussion again about the Kepler CI. I remember Green Reviews also talked about this last time in last week's meeting, working group Green Reviews. So there's like not a lot of, obviously like both initiatives are kind of similar, but there's no clear interaction points. So probably for now, it will be just like knowledge sharing. So how do you approach this, and how the tag approaches measuring energy and carbon. So, but we will see how this evolves. All right, sounds good. Are there any more topics about the APAC meeting before we go into the Cube Green presentation?
Before we do that, can we discuss the discussion on their paper at the Runtimes group that they've started on sustainability?
About the AI topic?
Yes, AI and sustainability.
Or yes, why not? Would you like me to open this link?
Yes, please. So they came to show us this paper. I would actually like a more in-depth discussion, which we maybe don't have time for because we do want to give enough time to Cube Green. But basically, to me, because this is coming out of the Runtimes group, I'm a little confused because this is really a sustainability paper. I'm wondering if it would be useful to establish a working group within us that maybe they lead on this since they've already started the work. What do you think, Adele?
Yeah, I think you're getting into a way bigger problem that the working group, the AI working group actually started as a tag proposal, and then we wanted to look for a place to belong to, and we ended up as a working group in tag runtime, which is not necessarily the right place. Eventually we evolve at some point into a tag, or at least that's how I see it. Based on discussions with other folks. And in that case, I think will be a cross-cutting concern tag, because everything typically has applications for and with AI. I think whether it's sustainability, security, all of these, I think we'll have to touch in cross-section with AI at some point. I'm not against any other proposal to have another entity or a group to get to the outcomes we want to get to. Yeah, so I will not strongly oppose any of those things as long as the outcomes that we have in mind are the same. But I would just want to bring, the awareness that our group is growing and potentially will end up also as maybe more than a working group in the future.
I have concerns because the last time I showed up, I did make commentary on one of your open docs, which was closed immediately after I made commentary. And that doc needs a lot more work. And I know it's a separate doc from this. This one should be owned by the group of experts. We are the one that is the technical advisory group for sustainability. So until there is a tag, because you are not yet a tag, I would like to make sure that this has the appropriate attention.
So I don't mind you owning the doc, right? As I said, as long as we get to the outcomes we have, I don't care who owns the doc.
I don't care if you own the doc either, but like as a group, I'd like the group to own the doc and you to continue running it since you have done that. So what we can do is make a working group within our tag that does this AI sustainability piece.
If that's easier to go through to get to where we want to go, absolutely. I will not oppose that. Maybe even we can use that as a pattern, but I don't know which one is harder or easier. There's a process involved, and my goal, I think you brought up another issue, which is the review thing, which is I think out of scope of this discussion, but to touch on that was this scheduling paper has been around for quite some time, and I actually was the one who suggested to leave comments open because but I think you already will talk to Ronald, right? And
he told me he was keeping it shut. So I have concerns about how that one was handled.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't aware of that until I showed up at that last meeting. So I understand there's a paper, but I can throw something in the wild under a specialty tag and not have the appropriate attention.
No, it has the appropriate attention, but the paper has been around for a very long time and people are trying to converge on it. But I want to discuss this with you to see if at the end whether your comments were approved. And I looked at your comments is not a huge deal, right? So we can work around it, incorporate them. The problem is when someone comes and suggests a complete refactor of the work at the very late stage of the paper. So the paper has been around since last KubeCon, and yeah, we want a conversion. Anyway, so speaking of this one, this reference architecture paper, again, if you'd like, so I pointed to the other, so there's another issue under sustainability, which touches on the same thing. If you'd like this to be the lead issue, right? That's absolutely okay for me as long as the right people are involved and are reviewing. This is a collaborative effort. That's what is intended to be. So if you feel this should be a working group, happy to make that happen. Because yeah, it's sustainable AI, both of them are pieces of this same puzzle. Okay, so how many documents are currently open that are kind of talking about sustainability as well as AI? Are there multiple ones, or is this like, okay, we closed some in the past and this is now the new one, or? No, I don't think we had documents before, at least to my knowledge in the CNCF. There are other organizations. Vincent also comes or leads another organization that cares about the topic. But in the CNCF, I think this is the first skeleton document with the goal of getting more folks to collaborate and review. I've opened this issue 5 days ago after discussing with Vincent, Vincent, maybe, you can introduce what you do and which other group I'm talking about, because that would also make sense for other folks in the call.
Yeah, I think you should be familiar. So I sit on the Green Software Foundation. We've just created a Green AI working group, which was launched 3 weeks ago. And so you are already aware of certain efforts of the Green Software Foundation, for example, the SEI and establishing standards for measure. Recently, we've started to really be worried about, I think, the lack of direction in terms of managing efficiency of AI workload. So we created this work group that is now new. And one of the initiatives we've discussed with the committee is we would like to provide some kind of a reference architecture for people who are building AI platform to really use cloud native capability in the right way. Right? So it's really a kind of best practice reference architecture document. And my thought process was in the GSF, we can drive a lot of work around industry validation of the reference architecture and adoption. But what we cannot drive is actually make sure that new technology that are proposed within the CNCF actually kind of more or less reach the objective that we would like to see in the evolution of cloud native technology for better sustainability. So I think the CNCF can help us with this, because if tomorrow you have a new project that kind of pretend to help with cloud native sustainability, then I know there is going to be a process in the CNCF to review and make sure that actually this project does what it say it does. Yeah, we can do that in the GSF. So what I propose to the GSF committee is to work with the CNCF potentially in collaboration to make sure that we have this kind of very wide-ranging review and collaboration and make sure we progress together. Yeah, the document that you see here, the intention for me was not to kind of tell people this is what you have to follow. If you look at it, I'm just trying to avoid the white page syndrome. Yeah, I just put kind of a very loose plan and some objective to start getting inputs from people. I think my view is, and excuse my poor understanding of the CNCF, because I'm by no means an expert, and myself, I still have to understand which group does what. But I think the topic is actually very far-ranging, because I'm talking to people, and especially people in my organization who are part of the work group on model serving, people who are actually working on resource management. Adele is actually in the AI, in the AI group. And as far as I can see, everyone probably has a lot to contribute, including the tag on sustainability. And to me, what good looks like is we actually have as much contribution as possible from all these different expert groups, both technically and specifically on sustainability topic. So I don't want to prevent people from contributing. If I can help in any way to make it easier for more people to actually come in and contribute, I mean, I'm happy to help with this, right? This is my mission.
Yeah, and to add, I think that the other people that were involved in the discussions, and these discussions really happened very recently. So there is Human, who's also one of the maintainers of the Kepler project, which is, I think you've mentioned in this call. And then there is also Yuan Tang, who is one of the chairs for the Kubeflow community, so the idea was, at least initially for this paper, was from an AI perspective, how can we look at the machine learning and AI lifecycle and look at the footprint, what happens, how do we make that more sustainable? And I think this is where the meat should be. Like, there's the area where we can look into how to make AI more sustainable, and then there's the other side of the coin of how can we make use of AI to improve the sustainability process. So it's really a flywheel that complements one another. And I think and I think, Vincent, you mentioned a recent discussion about AI Act coming to action, and a lot of clauses in there that also increases the urgency of us maybe looking at these topics collaboratively. So this is the background. This is the context for this issue. As you see, the issue is pretty fresh, pretty new. The document doesn't have much in it beyond an outline and some ideas dropped. So it's very greenfield, I'd say, and open for collaboration and ownership for anyone who is interested or willing to participate.
All right. So I think in general, this sounds good to me. So, Marlo, do you have any more comments? I would just say probably it makes sense to talk about this. I guess you already have like some meetings scheduled, right? Or not so much?
They have meetings scheduled within the runtimes working group. Again, this is in the tag runtimes. This is not a tag. So until such a tag exists, right, you still leave the material with the subject matter experts. So for now, I would really like to have a working group that's specific to this. I know that's yet more energy or yet another meeting potentially. But I'm looking to, I think, Adele and Vincent to run that, but I would like to be there as well because I'm looking through the content and there's a lot of it that is very lightweight and some that is clearly, I get picky about white papers. You guys don't know this yet, but there's a lot of passive voice in this, which is harder to read for people to consume.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is brain dump, right? So this is very raw form, hasn't gone through any professional or writing reviews. It's just us brain dumping what could be. And I think what you should focus on, at least for now, is the context. And passive active voices will come later in the process, and we will need that rigorous review on white papers. I'm pretty much the same like you, because we had to do that for the AI white paper as well, and we went through a lengthy process of making it reader friendly. So yeah, I agree.
All right, sounds good to me. So I would say like the sort of like the organizational things, tags, sustainability and runtime and so on. Maybe we can also talk with the TUSC and Ricardo from Tag Runtime what their thoughts are, so that we can co-own this issue or this working group or this initiative. But it would be good, in my opinion, to maybe leave this aside in some ways, so that we can also focus on the document. Because I think in general, this makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to slow down the pace of the document because of political shenanigans. So I do want a collaborative working group in the meanwhile. Vincent's laughing at me.
And Marlo, if you would like to start the discussion on a separate working group, feel free to tag us and to help or in any way.
Yeah, I'll get that done today. I would like you to, if you and Vincent could give me times that work for you, please, then we can find times that the three of us can go, and then we'll set a meeting time and socialize that both to your current runtimes group and to the sustainability. Does that work for you?
For me,
Yeah, it's good. I'm based in Singapore, but I know I work in the evening, as you can see. Being in an American organization doesn't help. So yeah, generally post dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do early morning if needed, and if we have to have a later time. I don't know what time Adele is available as far as time
I'm
sense.
EU. I'm
Okay,
my
early
situation
morning's
is
perfect
very-
for you. All right.
Yeah.
Early morning US. So we'll just do early morning US. If we have to make another time, we'll do it. But
Awesome.
All right. Very great.
Thank you.
So we have one more. Are there any questions, first of all? But we actually have, like, time-wise, we need to
yeah, we're
kind of
short.
move on.
just a thank you real quick. Thank you guys.
All right. So we will discuss this in another meeting, which we will schedule over Slack, so everybody can join if they're interested in this type of work. All right. So very quickly about user stories. So we had, before we move to the last point about Cubic Green, so there was like one meeting, was it yesterday, about the project proposal. I think I already have it open somewhere here, which is basically that we are aware of a bunch of stories of companies and end users and adopters of cloud native tools in terms of sustainability, what their thoughts are about sustainability, where they see like larger problems and how they tackle those problems. And we would like to tell those stories or explore and share sort of the knowledge they also worked on. So we discussed like where's the standing. So we would like to drive this forward. And so everybody can also have a look at this one more time. Sort of, I think it's very basic in terms of we are reaching out to companies or people that we are aware of the community that can that have like some kind of interesting story to tell. And we already have like some links here, and then we reach out and try to get like some kind of blog post, and then we can see where we go from here. The idea was that for every user story, we have one sort of person that is in charge and then can update about the progress. And then after this year, we can evaluate if we would like to integrate this into working group comms, because we can definitely tell indefinitely stories, right? So this is like, there's not like a cap on how many interesting stories you can tell. So we can see where we go from here. Right. Are there any things I forgot? Christina, you were also in the meeting. I think that's pretty much the gist. So Wilco, he also joined yesterday. He has a bunch of contacts also to universities and different organizations, and he will drive some of the user stories, starting with one of them. And then I believe I saw Diana. He also mentioned, I think some time ago, that there's like some interesting things that happened in the past at CERN, which we might could transform in some blog posts and some kind of user story. So potentially this could also be another one.
So, sounds good. I'll try to follow up on this.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So if anybody is aware of interesting like movements in some companies, if you talk to some person at some event or whatever, and they have like a different perspective about sustainability, or have like some kind of task force or whatever they are calling it to explore this field, would be interesting to, if they are willing to, sharing these stories. So feel free to comment here. All right. Any questions for this story? Otherwise, let's move to the last item. Davide.
Yeah. Hi all.
Hi.
Okay, I will share my screen. So, okay. Do you see me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is a little project update about KubeGreen. Yeah, so the agenda is an intro to KubeGreen for who does not know the project. The status update, I had a presentation in this tag 1 year ago, more or less. So it's a project update for the last year with a small demo and some conclusion. Okay, KubeGreen is a Kubernetes operator with the aim to reduce the carbon footprint of our cluster. It's open source, is on GitHub. It's available on GitHub. And it's based on the fact that all we do online run on a server, and all the code that we write once released on a server consumes energy and produces carbon. And this happens for sure for the production environment, but also for the development environment. And the global electricity demand in the ET world is around 1.5% of the global final electricity demand. So how can we reduce the carbon, the energy consumption? We can stop to use software, yeah, for sure. But the question is, how can we create more sustainable software? And one way in which we can create more sustainable software is using KubeGreen. which is based on the autoscaling, if we can say in this way. Autoscaling in Kubernetes is to scale the resources, our pods, for example, to upscale if necessary, for example, in a production environment where there is a peak of users, or also in development environment if we have a huge workload. But it's important that our resources also downscale. And also downscale also to zero, not, for example, the basic idea of Kubergreen is that when we create a production software, we have a lot of non-production environment. For example, in this slide, there are 3 different projects where there is a production environment and the UAT, the development, the pre-production, test environment, and so on. And those environments for most of the time are running without anyone which use them. And for example, if we have a working week of 40 hours, for about 75% of the time, these non-production runtime environment are running without anyone which use them. So the basic idea of Kubergreen is to turn off the pod inside our cluster, the non-production environments. Okay, Kubergreen, so it's an open source operator which run inside our cluster, configurable via the sleep info, which is a custom resource definition inside Kubernetes. And with this custom resource, it's possible to set up a sleep hour for our namespace and a wake up hour. So for example, if our developer have a time range, working time from 8 a.m. to 18 p.m. to 6 p.m. This configuration sleep the pod 1 hour after the end of the working day and wake up 1 hour before the start of the working day. So the developer does not know that their environments, non-production environment, are sleeping during the night. Okay, this is the basic idea of Kubergreen and the core feature of Kubergreen, but there are new features in this year really interesting from my point of view. The biggest one is the support. Before, Kubergreen supports only deployment and cron job resources. Now we had the support to all Kubernetes resources. So we open also to custom resource inside Kubernetes, to the support of custom resource. How we let the user to define some patches for some target group and kind for some target resources. And with these patches, it's possible to configure how to change the specific custom resource. So in this example, it's added the support of the stateful set for this environment, but it's possible to support not only the core Kubernetes resources, but also the custom resource. So it's really interesting for the next step in a roadmap. We will talk later, but here the next step we have in mind is to support the cross-plane definition, so to also try to turn off also infrastructure using with the integration with the crossplane, which could be really interesting. And there is in the last year an increasing in the community enhancement on the project. For example, there is the creation of an Helm chart of KubeGreen. All those features are in a release candidate, are quite are pretty young. It's not so. It's quite new, but yeah, there is a release candidate of KubeGreen which all this improvement, and it's planned to release before the end of December. There is it's added a native support to the stateful set resources. So also we add a resource to deployment and the cron job, and it was quite easy with the new architecture of the project itself. And there is the inclusion of the filter support. Before this feature, there was only the exclude filter, so exclude some kind of resources, some kind of name of resources or exclude by label. At the moment, it's possible to include, for example, only the specific resources in any space which have a specific label. So it's really interesting in, for example, use cases where there is a big namespace and only small number of services of deployment, for example, can be turned off during the night. And the next step in the roadmap are, yeah, for sure to release this new improvement. To submit the project to as the CNCF sandbox, to integrate, as I previously said, integrate with Crossplane to manage the teardown of test infrastructure, extend the default managed resources, which at the moment are free, but we can increase this number, and create a custom resource definition cluster-wide. At the moment is only by namespace, but in a platform engineering organization, it's quite common, which there is maybe a platform engineering team which want to sleep all a set of resources in a cluster programmatically. So it could be quite interesting, and it's already asked by our user and the community itself. Okay, so let's take a demo. It's a really short demo. I have a kind cluster inside in our in my local machine. With this configuration, there is already installed KubeGreen. I change my configuration. Yeah. And this configuration is a sleep info with for all the weekdays, sleep at now, and wake up in 1 minute. So I apply the resource, and we can see in the cluster itself. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. We can see that it doesn't work. Yeah. Okay, maybe there is. Okay, yeah. Can I try? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because there is the new version of this installed. Yeah, the demo is a flop. Yeah, because I installed the wrong the wrong version of KubeGreen inside the cluster. But yeah,
no worries.
yeah, it can work.
Yeah.
It's only an invitation to try by yourself. There is a tutorial on the website, and yeah, that will work correctly.
Good.
And okay. And yeah, so it's to configure the sleep info, and KubeGreen at scheduled time should sleep and later wake up the namespace. Okay, and to see some use case, for example, there are some in this chart we can see that going to stop a lot of pods inside a cluster. This is a cluster of 75 namespace with 48 namespaces are with KubeGreen, and there are stopped every night 600 pods, and we can see a decrease in memory usage and CPU usage, and also a decrease in the request of the memory, so the allocation of the memory inside the cluster, really big, 45 gigabyte and 25 CPU. So we can see that reducing the resources in the cluster in this way, with the node autoscaler in the cluster enabled, there is a decrease. There is some nodes, in this case 4 nodes, that downscale, so are stopped during the night and the weekend, which bring to a reduction in the usage of resources, and also from the cost point of view. And okay, so in this last year, there is a big increasing in the number of KubeGreen adopters. For example, the list of adopters on the website is increased from 3 in the last year to, I don't know, more or less 10 adopters. But yeah, it's quite difficult to believe that some user enroll as adopter in the website. So there are more and more adopter than the ones listed on the website. And in addition of these, there is a total download of the KubeGreen Docker image of around 500,000 of download, with an increase of really huge from November. And this increase in the final user of KubeGreen is possible to see also in the community itself, which is really more active. For example, with the enhancement brought to the project itself. And it's really interesting at the moment, the project, and it seems really used. And yeah, from the adopter, and when I talk about the project itself, maybe in some meetup, on conference, and so on, there is an average of the 30% of reduction in cloud cost, which is a matrix more easy to measure. But yeah, there is also for sure a consequence also in the reduction of emissions. And so to conclude my presentation, yeah, for sure sustainability is important in ET, and it's important to think about in the software life cycle. And for example, this tag is really huge resources in this way. The number of users using KubeGreen is for sure growing, and also the community KubeGreen around KubeGreen is growing with more contribution, and and are really interest around the project. And yeah, we are seeing about to propose the project to the CNCF as a sandboxed project. We are working in this direction, and in the next months we should apply on it. And yeah, for sure, always a contribution on the project are welcomed, and ideas and all. Thank you for the attention.
Right. Thank you. We don't have too much time. Actually, we are on time, but maybe we can ask a couple of questions. Maybe go 2 or 3 minutes over time. So from my side, maybe the first one would be around Kubernetes and special interest groups. If you are you in touch with them, or because also under the Kubernetes umbrella, the organization, there's a bunch of projects that are like from the size somewhat similar to KubeGreen. So, for example, like Minikube or others. And they are owned at the end by a SIG. So this would be like another path, not going to the CNCF as a sandbox project, but going to Kubernetes.
I don't know if there are other projects similar.
Yeah, maybe like yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they're like similar projects, but maybe some of the special interest groups are kind of have like also thoughts about this in terms of if this would be also like if a project fit under the Kubernetes organization. So this would be like certainly like a discussion which comes up if we are talking about CNCF sandbox. If it does it make more sense to move this to Kubernetes itself, and this at the end then depends on the special interest groups.
Yeah, it could be a road for sure. I don't know how to accomplish that, but I can check for sure. It will be really interesting.
Yeah, so there's I can also send you a link later. There's like I think it should be under Kubernetes/org, like a list of all these SIGs. And then I believe there's like SIG scheduling, for example, or some other ones that might be along the lines, maybe.
Okay, yeah. If you have any link, yeah, for sure. If you share with me, we can see and.
Right. Sounds good. And there may be like one more question, but this maybe is like going against, not against, but it's moving maybe the project like design-wise maybe a bit in a different direction, but like integration points with projects like Scaphandra and Kepler. It would be like a sort of like a bigger extension, I guess, but depending maybe on energy consumption, limiting and shutting down resources or whatever. I don't know. Do you see like any integration points with any of these tools or other tools?
Yeah, an integration with, for example, I want to try the integration with Crossplane, which is it will be really interesting because it could open to manage the orchestration and the schedule also of infrastructure, some kind of infrastructure. And this could be for sure interesting. At the moment, I talked about that, but for example, there was an issue which opened an issue about an integration with Keda. And it should work because I made a test with the new patches workload, and it already should work. And there are also some asking for integration about with the Argo CD and Flux, for example, because if you had Argo installed on the cluster, Kubernetes stop the workload, but Argo restart the workload. So should be some integration to say to Argo to create a window during the night to avoid to stop the workload. And this could be another integration really interesting. But yeah, at the moment it's possible to do manually, but to automate this could be really, really interesting.
Yeah. Sounds good. So I think like the list of adopters, this is like very, very good. And also like diversity in maintainers is usually like not for Sandbox, but later definitely like one point. It's like also one thing that you need to keep in mind is like Sandbox projects, we kind of there's like the expectation that eventually they move on to incubated and then eventually graduated. There's no such pressure sort of and also reviews under the Kubernetes umbrella. So this would be certainly like an interesting discussion, I guess. Like how this project could evolve. Like what is like you don't really want to have like more complexity necessarily, but sort of if we think about like next steps after Sandbox, yeah, but that's like a question to come. All right, we are already like 6 minutes over the time. It never happened before. Are there any like burning questions? Otherwise, I guess we could would be good to end this. Maybe this meeting. But thank you so much, David, for taking the time. It's very interesting checking in again. Yes. All right, everybody, I will stop the recording. Thanks everybody for joining.